Okay, Duane, when one listens to you talk, um, we think that at the snap of a finger, this world is coming to an end, or everything will just end in the some kind of apocalypse or something like that. Um, could it be that? And when I've been listening to the religionists, oh, the time is near, the time is nigh. Uh, you better repent and be washed by the blood of Jesus because you have no more time. Uh, Jesus can just appear tomorrow and it will be over. The judgment will take place and all that. Uh, Now, when we talk about we don't have much time, do we sound like some apocalyptic scaremongers?
Have you ever listened to yourself? Is that what you sound like? Charles. Yes, I see that. Okay, I really do. I see that with what I'm saying, and that's not really the definition. It's a warning. Okay, it's not a fear tactic. That becomes the difference. So, what is my intent by letting people know this? Okay, again, the people of Fukushima were warned. They were warned a year before because that was all a setup. Okay, because there was blackmail going on, and so they were warned, but they didn't pay attention. Not everybody paid attention, so it happened. And although a lot of people that were warned, they just thought, oh no, whatever. They thought whatever. Well, it did happen in a split second. Zoom. It wasn't the apocalypse of the whole world. But look at the religions and what they're doing. What is their agenda? That's what you look at. In other words, their intent and agenda. What is it? To get people to bow and kneel to their ideas, to their supposed invented gods, etc. But they use the idea that, you want to do this because you'll be saved. Will you? No, you'll be a prisoner for lifetimes. And what is it that, what is my intent, okay, with what I'm presenting? I don't have an agenda, all right? That becomes different. My intent is that at least to give people a warning and that they have the opportunity to make a choice. There's no fear involved. There's no fear tactics. With the religions, it's getting people to be afraid, isn't it? So there is a difference. Even though we use the same words and the same idea, with us, it's to, sing the new you, become more aware, and decide for yourself. In other words, you want to stay here? You want to be the effect of what's going to take place? Because it's going to take place. It is taking place. It's not hard to predict with the chemtrails, microwaves, pharmaceuticals, smart meters, just on and on. It's not hard to see what is happening and what's going to continue to happen as it gets worse. Yeah, there's people out there, Greenpeace and all these things, whoever they work for, and other groups or whatever, picking up trash off the beach. Is that going to do it? Does that stop the microwaves or the chemtrails or what the agenda overall is? No. So there is a difference. It does sound the same, doesn't it?
Hello. Please leave a message after
Hold on 1 second here. My phone. Yeah, that's the difference, Charles. So yes, but it again, it does sound the same, doesn't it? So, and this is where it takes a little bit of time to realize and recognize what we're presenting as opposed to the rest of the world. But for many people, it's like, oh, you're doing the same thing, or you're a cult. Okay, you're just getting people together for sound good stuff. Well, again, I can't prove anything to anybody. Everybody has to prove it to themselves. So this is where the risk taker position comes in. you really have to be the risk taker to and take the time to figure this out. That's real. Well, the world is basically figured out for everybody, so that's easy. So they just figure, well, why do I have to figure it out when everything's figured out for me? But then again, that's conscious and unconscious agreement to what? Where does all that go, you see? So while we live in the world, we have to deal with it, and that's okay. I'm fine with the challenge. The part I don't really like so much is that when people interfere with what I've decided, and there's a lot of them out there doing that. And so that's not nice, you see. So I'm letting the world do what it does. I don't interfere. But when I decide something to, get on with the vessel project and the funding, well, there's a lot of people out there. This is why it's taken so long, is because there's a whole lot out there that are interfering, and they don't want it to happen. So the boys at the backup, they on the real side, they've got to sneak around so many different areas a little at a time, you see. Just like in the movies where James Bond is sneaking around to do whatever he's doing, he can't just walk through the front door. Sometimes he does, it depends, but for the most part, he's got to sneak around, because nobody wants him around, you see. So, and it's the same with us. We've got to kind of sneak around, especially on the real side. And we're seen many times, so we use our own kind of tactics to make things look a particular, going this way or that way. We create diversions too. The boys do that all the time, so that they can get to people, to get into their house. They've got to sneak around even the attitudes that people have just to get into their house. And so just real side experience would be someone's in their house and they hear a knock on the door. Well, they can think, well, gee, I don't want to answer the door because it might be somebody scary. Well, it could be one of the boys, but you got to open the door to find out, and it could be somebody scary. But at the same time, you could be letting something in. So it takes a lot. So, yeah, this is where we're at. Yeah, with anything that we do. But, yeah, it looks the same, but this is where, again, like the corporation members, do they really, truly look to the real side? They test the new you, etc., and see what's going on. Well, I understand they're emotionally attached to the old ideas, and it's understandable. So for them to get to that point, they've really got to decide. They got to figure it out. And just like when you're at the market, you see two products that's the same. One says, Benz this, and the other one says Ajax or whatever, Ajax Corporation. And they're both the same product. But are they? Are they manufactured the same way? Are they whatever? And so are the contents the same? That's something you got to figure out. Sometimes you're the test, you're the experiment. You got to eat it to find out if it works or not. But everybody's going to be a little different. So yes, I see that objectively, that it looks like the old doomsday idea, but realistically it's a warning. That's what it is, because the warning is right in front of everybody. And so the religionists, they're using the tactics, they're using fear tactics to get more people to agree to their agenda, is what they're doing. It has nothing to do really with the end of the world. It has to do with agreement to their agenda, so they stay slaves. Yeah, there becomes the difference. And so again, this is a big school here for people. This is why everybody came here, to eventually have the opportunity to recognize the all is. Well, they're going to discredit us in every which way they can, simply because they don't want people to wake up. So there is a difference there, but people have to see it. So it's not, it would appear, but it's not about predicting doom, because no, it's not like that. Paul did predictions with the Act video. They didn't all come out because, again, it's free will. But as long as people agree to what they're agreeing to now, and the agreement stays as it is, it's cause and effect. That's really what it is. It's cause and effect. And is this what you really want in your life? In the meantime, I suggest to try and recognize the is, etc., and see what we're doing. But Yes, Charles. This is the part where we confront the world also. So when people, excuse me, are a little bit upset about what we're presenting, this is where you ready yourself to confront this and take the time to define it, just like what we're doing at the college. We're having the adventure of confronting all these funny ideas that the administration at OCC has created. We didn't create them. We went there just to do the event. That was it. Got Lila in there to, be a supporter and taking care of that and other situations. They created all these ideas, these defensive ideas, okay, which has nothing to do with their job realistically. Their job should be to see people getting through all of the college instead of creating resistance to it. So it looks a particular way, and it looks a particular way of what we're doing. It looks like we're like troublemakers. But actually, we're having fun with this to see if we can get through, okay, their literalized, rule-loving minds to see something else to possibly save themselves from what's going on in this world. So again, we've taken on the challenge. And so this is where it is too. What we're presenting, what I'm saying to the world, yeah, it looks like, oh, Duane's talking about doomsday stuff. Well, that's fine. By the very fact of what they're deciding, okay, here's the challenge, who will challenge, who will come up and have the adventure of defining this, being ready to define this. So people go, oh, now I understand what you're doing. I see the difference between them and you. So yes, it's always a challenge. It's always an adventure, isn't it, Charles? And it's never simple to explain either, because there's a lot more. Go ahead.
It's a fun observation, but I think it's worth talking about. The wonderful worldwide educators, they teach that, or they mention that animals are wonderful and they are free beings too. So I began to think, how about an animal sanctuary that will serve as a sacred home, shelter for the neglected, abused, unwanted horses, sheep, donkeys, cows, peacocks, and other animals. We are doing much for the children of the world. And so I began to wonder, what about the animals too, in keeping with the fact that they are wonderful and we want to love them, and we're committed to some kind of non-violence to animals. Duane?
Oh, that's very good, Charles. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, actually, I'll do a group on that. Yeah, that's fun. And it is very important. For the most part, most people think about their personal life, and they don't consider the birds or the animals, what's going on. Like 4th of July is an example that's coming up. And it can be all night long, even after they do the official noise and nonsense here from the city, spending thousands of dollars to pollute the air. Do people consider just even the birds and the animals and the shock of these, these fireworks? They're like bombs going off, and the repercussions of that? No, for the most part, they don't. They only consider the little thrill that they're getting from it, and that's a very good point. And there are many people that really do care. They do set these things up. I would say that the so-called sanctuary that you're talking about, I would see it as the whole earth, okay? Not just a place to put in a pen or house animals, of course, but, again, they want their adventures too. They want to roam freely. Birds don't want to be in a cage. I've known people that have these little bird cages. You go buy them at the pet store, and then you buy your parakeet and you stick it in there. And all the bird sees is bars. And I've seen many documentaries on, especially so-called exotic birds like parrots and whatever. After a while, they get very upset as they mature. They realize that they've been a prisoner. At some point, they wake up and realize that. And now Pretty Little Bird isn't nice anymore. Now it starts to really bite the owner and wants nothing to do with them because they've clipped their wings. And there are bird sanctuaries too in many places where people, they redo the psychology of the bird plus what they've been fed, and all kinds of animals, etc. So I would say that along those lines, yes, that's what the universal community is about. It's for everything that makes sense, okay? But it doesn't mean that we're going to have 10,000 cows there, all right? So, yeah. You got to make sense of things in a certain way, so it's a step at a time. But again, it's the agreement of the world. And you see, for the most part, this world is a slaughterhouse. It slaughters everything. And from the dolphins in the ocean and sticking those little parts in tuna cans, saying it's tuna fish or whatever. This is just how the world is. There can be a better view and understanding, but each person has to strive for that. But in the meantime, we have to deal with it. So I don't get into, especially the word sanctuaries and all that. Again, old terminology. And really, what are sanctuaries? They're prisons. The mental institutions are called sanctuaries. You see? This is they sneakily apply all these things to these ideas, and they really become prisons, is what they become. Yes, instead of assisting people through the process of creation. That's what we're doing. We're assisting people through this process of creation. And again, referring to OCC, they're not doing the job they're hired for because they have been hired by deceptors. That's why. And the deceptors have created all these agencies like the U.S. Educational Board of Education or whatever. And all these things look good, but they're all hired by the deceptors, and the end result is the same thing. So I've said to Val and Kelsey, I said, when we do the Universal University and we have the vessel projects or whatever, that no, we're not going to have, we don't need all these forms. I'm looking at it, and we're into the adventure of things like animals. So when people come up to us, it's going to be, what is your name? And basically where you're from. You can say whatever you want. I don't care. That's it. I don't need your social security number, your driver's license number, and, your date of birth and all these things. Just something to identify you so we know who you are. And then here we have choices of what you want to take part in, okay? And again, it goes off the person's intent. So, just like birds, instead of stamping them with a number or something like that, birds, in the trees, they're wonderful just how they are. And everything can be like that with an understanding. So that's what we're doing. We're providing a real education, real guidance, so that people can get through the process and not so they're stuck here. That becomes the difference. So we're like, we're like the good people that are, waiting, walking up and down the road to see who's going to get stuck in the road, and we help push their car out so they can just keep going. That's the whole idea here. Keep going through their experience instead of them getting stuck and, staying with all these institutions and these systems that control others. So, yeah, that's a good idea, Charles. But we want to be realistic too. After a while, it becomes a lot of talk. So again, it's a focus here, and like I've related to Val and Kelsey. These are preludes we're going through here. All this is very important, and not everybody is keeping up with the prelude. Preparing, we are preparing for what's coming. I see it, and so this is where who will step up to prepare. It's not like, well, I did this and now I'm done. No, it's constantly preparing and going through. And, I'll only be here so long. And it can be 10 more years. It can be 1,000 years, whatever. I don't put any time on it. Whatever it takes. I'll redo the body or whatever. Whatever it takes, just like Rebazar still has a body here. It's like whatever it takes for this cycle to go through, etc., because of how the world is. I'm fine with the challenge. It's hard on me, but I'm fine with the challenge. And so getting other people to understand this also. And yes, the animals are involved. because they really do care. We've had many real side experiences, especially with the Asians. They shared them in the past, where, you know, the animals are talking on the real side, which they do. They talk here too. They communicate here, okay, but in their own way. And they know what's going on. They're very sensitive to everything, more so than the humans are, because they have that literal side of them that is blocking it all and purposely doing it because they want to be self-satisfied. And there's a bigger picture here. So, yeah, I see that as very important too. And as I'm constantly trying to do this, and Val and Kelsey know what I'm doing here, but we don't tell everybody because most people won't understand. So we don't tell it all. But I'm very focused on getting this done. But at the same time, like I've said, there's a lot more people out there, individuals, that don't want me to succeed. They don't want a better world, you see. That's why the world controllers have created all these look good, sound good agencies to make you think that, oh no, we're on your side, okay? We want it better for you. So we've created this, and Greenpeace and all these other things. We've created these things, and they're helping the world. Are they? Or are they really helping to control and destroy the world? You see, as people become more aware, this is where the deceptive destruction comes in. It's not necessarily that they want to do that, but they are afraid of of people becoming more aware, and you might say outsmarting them, and no longer having to agree to be supporters of their deceptions. Very interesting, isn't it? But they keep it going, and most people still keep agreeing, so the world does what it does. So it's a give and take. It's like a pulling rope contest. They got more on their side with their agreement, so they're pulling everybody into the mud. And this is just how it is. And a lot of innocent people are going in, which is unfortunate. Those that really want to, who sincerely want to know what's real and what's going on, but there's so much deception going that it's the picture is painted to where, like what we're doing, we look funny compared to what they're doing. Theirs looks legitimate or legal or whatever you want to say. So they'll many times choose them, but they won't know till they're 70 or 80 or almost unconscious that, oh my gosh, I could have made better choices. Yes, it's an interesting place, isn't it, Charles? Yeah. Thank you for asking.